Wilkins in the pistol, fakes the handoff to Benjamin. Long throw downfield, looking for Darby. Caught for a touchdown. Arizona State takes the lead. ASU looking to finish their drive strong. Here's Wilkins from the shotgun. Finds a man in the middle. That's Kyle Williams. Open touchdown Devils. They extend their lead for Williams' first touchdown of the year.
Manny Wilkins hands the ball off to the right side. Eno Benjamin bounces off a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown ASU.
What's happening, y'all, and welcome into the house here on houseofsparky.com. I'm Blaine McCormick.
Blaine.
He's Scotty. What?
We talked about this. It's not House of Sparky this week. Halloween's coming up, Blaine.
That's right, man.
It's House of Spooky.
Look at this. We've got pumpkins. House of Spooky.
Let's get right into it to start off the theme for today's show. It's Scotty's spooky story time to break down ASU's game against Stanford. Let's see the highlights. Scareford coming into AZ for a Pac-12 matchup. And see, Blaine, we're not the only ones with pumpkins. Now, a love who induces fear and an Eno who's, well, right here. It was an underdog Devil squad hosting a top-tier team who in the past few weeks had been kicked to the green. Though the game started still, it was senior quarterback Manny Wilkins who hit wide receiver Brandon Ayuk for a 51-yard bill. Short after, an ASU field goal gave them a 3-point tall, and despite the spooky setting, things were not so bad after all. But it was costly mistakes and irreversible drops that helped bring the Cardinal back up top. Herm was hot, the pumpkins were about to rot, as it was a 3-point lead that Stanford had got. The second half brought a resurgence to the Devil crew as this Frank Darby 36-yard catch set up the man with the golden shoe. Yes, Brandon Reese chipped in his second field goal of the night to tie up the game and make it a fight. But it were the men in white that took over the light as KJ Costello's spirals were tight and seemingly right into the hands of his receivers. This one from KJ to JJ Arcega-Whiteside as the Nerds' lead grew to 14 quicker than a vampire could bite. But it was the senior whose will was to the test as Wilkins led a fourth quarter comeback in search of defeating their not-so-friendly guest. 5 had nearly 400 total yards in the game, but it was the final plays that proved to be a shame. Poor clock management near the end left the Trees leaving Tempe with quite a scary 20-13 victory. All right, enough rhyming for now as we bring in our guy, Mr. Jordan Palacio. And I'll tell you what, we were told it was a House of Sparky-wide memo to wear some spooky gear today. Jordan comes out here wearing some spicy gear. Take a look at that shirt.
Oh, look at that, right? I saw Migos and I thought I'm going to dress like Quavo today. Absolutely.
Jordan, I tell you, you're looking good. But
Thank you.
The Devils weren't looking good. So help me break it down. What happened?
Well, I think we're going to be taking a look at Manny Wilkins, his deep accuracy and his intermediate range inaccuracy. We see here, first drive of the third quarter, Wilkins on a big pass here to Frank Darby. And you see here, Darby kind of being pulled a little bit toward the sidelines. Not Manny's best pass, but still he made the pass. That's the important thing here. Took advantage of some cover 2 from Stanford. Got inside the 10. That's a first and goal. We'll take a look here. You see Darby just outpaces his guy here, finds the soft zone, and then makes the catch. Now here, third and goal in that same drive. N'Keal Harry one-on-one here, man coverage. It's an easy play call, right? Throw the fade.
Give it to N'Keal.
Exactly. Make him go make the play. And now here's the problem right here. This ball lands. It almost hits you, Scotty, filming that play. And that's something that Manny's really struggled with, especially in that game against Stanford. That intermediate, that 8 to 15-yard pass range is something he struggled with. Earlier in the game, we'll take a look at one more play here. This is Brandon Ayuk here in the first quarter, and this was the play that gave Arizona State the lead, in a sense here. Wide open down the middle, down the sideline, rather, inside the 20-yard line for a big play. Again, another cover 2 from Stanford here, and Manny's able to take advantage of it. Ayuk just goes by his guy. A little bit of a coverage breakdown for a first down, and that's something that we saw out of Manny, is that he's able to make that deep throw, but when it counted, especially in that last drive, Scotty, he couldn't make that intermediate pass.
Yeah, Blaine, you know, Jordan, excuse me, it's the classic saying. I think you're Blaine. You both look good today.
Do we look? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the compliment for you. But
appreciate
Jordan,
it.
The classic saying is every ball thrown out of bounds, 100% of those are incomplete, and that's what we saw from Manny, and when the Sun Devils needed it most, it looked like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the point here with Manny as well, is that you can't give a guy who's probably going to go in the first round an opportunity to catch the ball if you throw the ball 7 yards out of bounds. You have to give him an opportunity to go up there at his highest point and get it. And we saw with that throw, and that's something that really can't happen with a fifth-year quarterback.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to send it over to Blaine. I was just thinking about it in my head. Now we're going to send it over to him to break down how Manny Wilkins really couldn't give the Sun Devils that final chance in the end. But before we go, it's the poll today. What's your favorite candy?
Oh, Jolly Rancher.
Jolly
Blue
Rancher.
raspberry.
Blue
oh,
raspberry.
Oh my goodness, I eat 7 of those things.
All right, Blaine, take it away. Thanks, Troy.
The last drive of the game against Stanford was a quirky one, so let's diagnose this drive real quick. It all started with ASU at their own 15-yard line. Wilkins then got sacked. Later, they got a first down, and then N'Keal Harry made one of the biggest plays of the game with a 28-yard pass and got the first down. Then clock management had to be a priority. Wilkins wisely spiked the ball to stop the clock, and then Manny threw it to the middle of the field to a wide-open Eno Benjamin for a short gain, but the team could not get set up quick enough to get off that miracle play. The play never happened, and it could still have gone off. It's a question of risk setting off a miracle play on third down with a few seconds left, or try to get the first down to stop the clock and advance the chains. Throwing to Benjamin may have been the least productive option. Still got to wait for the refs to get the play off, and then you have to set up. A frustrating way to end the game for Sun Devil fans, and, well, it could have ended a different way. In the heat of the moment, it's understandable why Wilkins threw it. Benjamin was wide open. But the past is over, and clock management is something the team is going to have to look at, especially in these tight one-score games that seem to be really a commonality with ASU. All right, now we're continuing the segment, and this one is going to get a little interactive. We normally have it with Pick Your Poster, but since it's Halloween theme, we decided to bring the pumpkins with us, and it's Choose Your Candy. So we're taking a look at all the future games for Arizona State, starting it off with USC. For my candy with this game, it's going to be a tough one because there's a lot of going back and forth with these guys, very chippy, and a lot of penalties. That's why I put on the Snickers bar. They're going to be snickering at each other. And if the Sun Devils want to be themselves, they've got to eat a pack of these, especially in the Coliseum. A tough place to play.
Blaine, you're not you when you're hungry. The Sun Devils aren't them when they're hungry either. Snickers, by the way, my favorite candy. Next game on the mark. It's at home against Utah. Utah is on a roll right now. I'm going with the Sour Patch Kids. The Utes can be sour, but they can be sweet. We've seen them play some of their best ball, some of their worst. If the Sun Devils want to win, they got to come in sweet.
And that defense is pretty tough. They put on a souring amount of hits. Sorry for the puns. I'm going to be full of them for this second. Next one against UCLA. Still at home for this one. The last home game of 2018. It's going to be a whopper. Nope, Noah, not that one. There we go. That whoppers. Because if they lose this game, it's going to be a whopping defeat. They're just going to be carted out of Tempe, and kind of the reputation of this 28 team might be in jeopardy, especially against UCLA. Not doing too hot this year.
Blaine, I was always bummed out when I would get Whoppers in my candy. I'm a Tootsie Roll kind of guy. But,
there you go.
Oh yeah, let's go to Eugene, Oregon. That right there is a gobstopper. It's the hardest of all candies because it is the hardest of all games in my eyes for this year. Have you ever tried to eat a gobstopper? It takes forever.
Yeah,
so,
sure does.
Yeah, I don't think the Sun Devils can finish that gobstopper and beat the Ducks, Blaine.
But this is the biggest one. You had one candy that I thought was kind of cool.
It's a hot tamale, Blaine.
Okay.
It's the big tamale going to Tucson, playing the game. It's the big tamale. That's why I'm going hot tamales. It's also hot there.
See, and I have one, and we're going to have it come up here in a little bit, but it's 100 grand.
Oh, no.
I mean, we all know what happened with basketball. Just kidding, folks.
Get that out of
just
here.
Kidding. This is going to be a starburst kind of game. And the reason I say that, there's a lot of stars between these two teams. Khalil Tate is one of them, especially with Manny Wilkins playing his last game in a Sun Devil uniform. There's just going to be a whole lot of starbursting throughout this game.
Nice save, Blaine. Nice save.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But that'll do it for this segment of Choose Your Candy. Now we're going to look at the Conference of Champions. Utah, they're cracking into the top 25 with their 41-28 win over USC. Utes are now ranked 23rd in the AP poll, and they have to come to ASU in a couple of weeks. Also a big day for UCLA as they defeated Arizona in Pasadena 31-30. Bruins now 2 wins in a row under new head coach Chip Kelly.
2 wins in a row for the Bruins, but 2 losses in a row for the Buffs as Ben Burke-Irvin and the Washington Huskies bounce back from their overtime loss in Eugene to stifle Steven Montez and company 27-13. And last, but certainly not least, let's stay in the Evergreen State as Wazoo welcomed College Game Day into Pullman and stunned the Oregon Ducks to dethrone them in the Pac-12 North as the Cougs grabbed a 34-20 W, proving to be the Pac-12 game of the week. So that's how the rest of the Pac-12 is doing, but hey, how's Herm?
Well, Scotty, how's Herm Edwards? He actually answered that in his weekly press conference and said that his emotions are in check. He's fine. You know what else is fine? Bringing on Julian Potas to talk more about the head coach of the Sun Devils. He said that his emotions are in check.
That's right.
Sun Devils record 3-4 right now. How do you really think that Herm Edwards is doing right now? Because when you look at him on the sideline, he seems pretty calm and collected. But
That's right.
How many internal struggles is he dealing with at this point?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned calm and collected. I think that definitely describes his manner right now, as you know, especially right now in the season, here in the week especially. But if we're looking back at the game against Stanford, it was a struggle. It was frustrating, especially for Manny Wilkins, especially for Herm Edwards. They lost by possession for the 4th time this season. If I'm correct, it's happened multiple times where they've just fallen short because of their offense or their defense. They haven't been able to get something in the course of that 4th quarter. So if I'm Herm Edwards, I'm looking at this like, I have to talk to my team. We have to get it together, and we have to try to bundle and figure out a way to just find some wins this season for the course of how many games that we have. You know, it's not a long season, 12 games, right? So you got to be able to strategize the best way that you possibly can, especially in college football, because you don't get those kinds of opportunities every time down the stretch.
And a couple of tough home games coming up as well against the Utah Utes and then also the UCLA Bruins, who are kind of catching fire right now. It's the end of the season. Put 2018 out of your mind. If you're Herm Edwards looking to the recruiting class, who are you really looking at to develop on your team right now? And then which positions are you looking to recruit towards? Weird question.
Yeah. It's tough because, you know, there's not really a lot of prospects that are looking at Arizona State thinking, okay, this is the school that I want to go to. This is the place where I want to be able to exceed and build off of my football talents. You know, so it's hard to be able to try to figure out who you want to bring in to Arizona State to be able to have them become part of that football family. But development is a great key word that you use. I think that is a huge thing that Herm Edwards has to do over the course of next season, as well as over the summer, being able to progress those guys, being able to make them better in every course. Defense, absolutely. Manny Wilkins is going to be gone. They have to find a way to be able to bring in another quarterback so that they can be able to have a captain again. You know, but of course, from this season, they're going to learn from their mistakes. I think that's a given. Herm Edwards, he's a professional. He's going to get these guys in check, and they're going to learn and they're going to stride forward.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Sun Devils have planned for the end of the season. Julian, thanks so much for coming on. Really quick, Halloween candy. What you got?
Reese's.
It's my man right there. Love it, Julian. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
We all just saw it, that blonde-haired kid with the face for television, right? Well, somehow he's also got the voice for radio and earned himself the Blaze Radio Call of the Week. Let's roll back to Thursday night with our very own Blaine McCormick and relive Manny Wilkins' late touchdown run.
Here's Wilkins with the snap, looks downfield, escape pressure, and he's going to run it himself. Past the 10, the 5, going over to the end zone and through the end zone, and it's going to be a touchdown, Arizona State. Manny Wilkins doing it all himself as the Sun Devils chip away at the lead, 12-20.
Now, of course, that scamper did not prove to be enough for a Devil W, but it was enough for the house. And stay in line with Blaze Radio as Josh Schaefer and Lyle Goldstein are on the call in the Coliseum on blazeradioonline.com.
Well, you just heard from that blonde-haired kid, and somehow I guess they let me back on TV.
The face for TV, Blaine. It's a first.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. That's the nicest thing he said to me all season, folks. We're going to go into our next segment. It's pros and cons, but it's Halloween edition for Trick or Treat. We still got the pumpkins. Love the pumpkins.
Big pumpkin guy.
I have the tricks. Those are the cons. He has the treats, which are the pros. My first trick, well, they're going up against USC, and it's never easy. Herm Edwards talked about this USC Trojan team and how there's a lot of emotions during this game from both sides, and especially with USC having over 1,600 passing yards, averaging over 350 yards per game. It's going to be a tough one against the Trojans.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough one, but for Arizona State fans, the biggest treat, really, of the entire season is Merlin Robertson. He is going to keep them in the game, at least in my eyes. He is the shining star on the defense and really on the entire team. He had 7 tackles last week, a sack in the game in the first quarter, and a big sack at that. So Merlin Robertson's my first treat of the day, and at least for as long as he can go, I think he's going to keep him in the game against the Trojans.
I talked about the emotions between these two teams, and I want to touch on it just a little bit more. Another key thing that Herm mentioned in his press conference was the penalties, and I actually did a little research over the last 3 years. These are the numbers. ASU had 17 penalties for 199 yards over the last 3 years. USC, on the other hand, 25 for 219 yards. That is a lot of penalties. You're talking about 2 football fields and even more with all those penalty yards over the past 3 years. And when you're having those kind of penalties, it's just free yardage for the opposing team.
Yeah, you talk a lot about yardage and the past 3 years. The past 3 years, the next trick, I think he was walking around the hallways in high school, is JT Daniels. The next treat, excuse me, JT Daniels. You might think of it as a trick, but he's coming back to play. Earlier this week, he was said to be out of the game for a concussion, but he's gone through protocol. He will be playing Saturday night. I see it as a treat because it's really going to bring a whole new element to the game. If you're a Sun Devil fan, you don't like it, but if you're a Pac-12 football fan or even just a football fan, it brings a whole new aura to the game for the Devils and for the Trojans as well.
Here's my last trick, and I think it's the doozy for this one. It's the Coliseum. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum is so tough to play in, and it's been that way for as long as the stadium has been in Los Angeles, because you have USC, an established football program. You've got the Los Angeles Rams in there right now who are undefeated, and the fans just go crazy for both of these ball clubs. So it's going to be a harsh environment for ASU to combat in, but I want to steal one treat from Scotty, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. Get a load of his tie. Can we get a shot of that? Yes, camera 5. Look at that tie. Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Point of reference.
Look at how good they match, though. The oranges are so nice.
Oh, thank you, Blaine. You know how I do it. I told you, I'm a seasons guy. I had the one day a year I can wear this tie. I had it on today.
But you gotta.
Yeah, of course. It's my treat, and I'll go to my final actual treat of the day, and that's actually the passion of the Sun Devil team. After the game and after the loss, you could see Manny Wilkins practically in tears about how they had lost their 4th game by 7 points. That's something we haven't seen before. For me, it was a treat to see how much they care about this team and how much they care about this program, especially Manny Wilkins. And Blaine, there's something to be said about passion. Mostly here at the house, we present the passion in many forms. And think about Manny Wilkins promising maybe a win, or his best player, a fan yelling their tonsils out, or even Herm Edwards screaming, "Leave it on the grass." But that said grass is the very passion for ASU groundskeeper Brian Johnson. Week in and week out, Johnson has worked tirelessly to create, build, and upkeep perhaps the greatest playing field in the country. And he's done so with flying colors, literally. Now, folks, you have a chance to be a part of those colors. Last Friday, Johnson tweeted out this poll for Sun Devil fans to vote on how you want the field to be painted for the annual Salute to Service game on November 10th. Now, last I checked, Field 2 is kicking Field 1 to the dirt, but never underestimate the power of a retweet. Voting ends today, so go out there and be a part of Frank Cush Field, and you can find the poll on Twitter at Bermuda419S for the unique opportunity to have a say in what the field should look like in the final home game of 2018.
Some stories are just bigger than football, and also bigger than Arizona State. While watching football this weekend, you probably saw the massive upset win that Purdue had against number 2 Ohio State. But I don't think anyone was more excited than Tyler Trent. I really hope you saw this story, because Tom Rinaldi and ESPN made this the story of the year. Tyler Trent is a Purdue student and also a superfan who was diagnosed with bone cancer. It started to spread through his arm, and he had to get the top of his arm replaced with titanium. 9 months of chemotherapy and then cancer-free for 2 years. But right before starting at Purdue, the cancer returned, requiring surgery on his pelvis, and that didn't stop Tyler from attending school on time. Purdue head coach Jeff Brom noticed Tyler camping out to get tickets for Boilermaker football games, and from there a relationship developed. Tyler was an honorary captain on the field with the Boilermakers last season, and the team embraced him. When the cancer spread to his spine and confined him to a wheelchair, that didn't even stop Tyler from making this year's season opener. Tyler was there to witness Purdue defeat Ohio State because he did not stop fighting. And I cannot express how much inspiration this story gives me. Cancer has affected a member of my family and a couple of good friends I have made in my lifetime. I am truly inspired by you all. The cancer fighters like Tyler who face it, spit in its face, kick its ass, and say, "No, you won't take me." My heart goes out to all of you fighters. You are an inspiration. For Tyler, it showed that one man can bring together a team and a nation. And that's why Tyler Trent is our feel-good story of the week. A very touching story with Tyler Trent, and that's just bigger than football, and a great story by ESPN.
Yeah, you're right. And I had a couple buddies at Purdue. It was a fantastic story. Obviously when Purdue stormed the field, and obviously when Tyler Trent was in the locker room. Huge, fantastic story having Tyler Trent as the honorary team captain.
Probably the story of the year so far. We want to continue with our football coverage. That's why we bring in Austin Burnett to break down a few plays for this USC team that the Sun Devils are having to go up against. And this is a tough team to play, no matter what the year is. How is this going to fare on the road?
Well, it's going to be a very difficult task, as it usually is. As we mentioned earlier, ASU hasn't won at USC since the Hail Mary. But as we're going to look here, JT Daniels, he does a great job of breaking a tackle. He looks downfield, and this is usually a 50-50 ball, but it's a 66 to 33% chance of catching it right there. But Michael Pittman Jr. does a fantastic job of going up and high pointing the ball. Fantastic play by the USC Trojans. Now, Tyler Huntley, he's going to look all over the field. It's going to be a combo coverage up top, zone coverage right here at the bottom. You can tell because of how much space there is between the receiver and DB. Now, this is going to be what they call an ET stunt. It's when the end dives in first and the tackle comes around the outside. Tyler Huntley, he gets confused by the combo coverage up top. Everyone's covered, and that's what you call a coverage sack. Everyone was covered. And then you see Matt Fink here. He does a great job of excelling the play action fake and finds his tight end Tyler Pittman, or Tyler Pettit.
There you go.
Rather. But yeah, it was a great job there by Matt Fink, and great job of the USC Trojans.
Pittman, this is going to be a pretty difficult task for USC.
It will be.
What do you see going down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter, because these one-possession games with Arizona State, it's kind of like a toss-up between whether they win or lose. How do you see this faring out?
Yeah, and you mentioned the fourth quarter, and a quick stat for you. Manny Wilkins and N'Keal Harry, they haven't connected inside the red zone since 1:40 left in the fourth quarter against San Diego State. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. So, but on the flip side of the defense, this defense got to show up. This secondary, they've been torched over the past few games. So I think Chase Lucas and Kobe Williams, they got to step up coming into USC. It's going to be a huge game.
That's Austin Burnett, our film guru. And, well, keeping with the Halloween theme, we got the pumpkins here. I got to ask you, what's your favorite candy?
Oh, I'm a huge Kit Kat guy.
There you go.
Kit Kat guy from day one. So.
What is it? Take a break sometimes?
Take a break.
Take a break.
Yeah, something like
there
that.
you go.
So.
Thanks again, Austin, for coming on to the show. We're going to move into our Pac-12 top plays of the week. Play numero uno, it's USC and Utah. Here's Michael Pittman Jr., unfazed through double coverage, gets the touchdown. Scotty, he must be a ghost because his hands just phased through the defenders. Take another look at this play. Pittman goes up and just catches it. We saw this play earlier with Austin and is good enough for third place.
All right, Blaine, let's take it. Same game. That's Tyler Huntley. Break that tackle off of Christian Rector, who, oh, by the way, 275 pounds, still make a great throw downfield to Brant Keithy inside the 5. One more time. He's got him in a bear hug, and he just spins off of it, makes a play, 41-28 Utes.
Rector can really put a wrecking on a quarterback. Here's UW and CU. Browning sweeping outside. What a catch! Oh my gosh, Aaron Fuller turning into Mr. Fantastic.
Let me see that again.
Oh man, this is a good one. Look at this. Fuller plucks it out of the air right there. Fantastic catch and a fantastic play to round out our Pac-12 top plays of the week. And my goodness, Aaron Fuller. I think that's the Pac-12 top play of the year so far.
Blaine, it's not the first time we've seen Aaron Fuller one-handed catches.
Yep.
That guy's insane.
They're trying to be like Odell, I tell you. We've had a few of those, and they're all just going up for the one hand and trying to wrangle it in.
Seriously, that's a happy catch, Blaine, but it's time for some spooky sadness. It's going to officially time to wrap up our once-a-year House of Spooky show, the 2018 edition. But before we go, you've been generously asking everybody else what their favorite candy is today. What's yours?
Okay, so you mentioned this to me earlier, and I'm going to have to go with Hershey's because it's just classic chocolate. And I can't decide, so I'm going to go with Skittles too. I love the fruitiness. Love Skittles.
I'm with you on Skittles, but after our segment earlier today, I'm a 100 grand guy. I don't really know how I feel about the actual bar, but whenever I'm going to have 100 grand, I'm going to think of a hilarious moment.
It's just a slight joke, folks. It's a slight joke.
All right, well, I absolutely love that. And unfortunately, yes, it is indeed time for spooky sadness. Devils heading to LA to play USC for one more time. He's Blaine McCormick. I'm Scotty Gaines. For our producer, Noah Lau, and everybody here at the house, we thank you for joining us. And most of all, we wish you a happy and most of all safe Halloween. Go out and do some trick-or-treating. It's underrated.